Okay, so if you do not know what the black tax is, let me just go ahead and define that for you really quickly. So, the black tax is a term that was coined by some black intellectuals. I don't know their names, I just remember the term. And basically, it refers to what happens to the black child that actually, quote unquote, makes it. Um, and how so many responsibilities of the family fall on them because of their perceived success. And to give an example, it would be like if you were the first in your family to graduate from college and to get a corporate job that's paying you well. All of a sudden, your mom, your sisters, your brothers, they're all of a sudden asking you for money or they need help with this and that, and it's just like you reach this point of success, but at the end of the day, you have just a bunch of burdens that your other race colleagues might not have. Um, and so even though you're making X amount of money, you gotta put aside a good portion for them. Um, and it even goes so far as to when you are being noticed for certain things, um, whether it comes to actually, funny enough, when it comes to the entertainment industry, black people be all up on that shit. When it comes to other industries, you being acknowledged and noticed, like people don't it just doesn't it matter to them. Yeah, it just doesn't matter. With the black tax, you're just seen as a it's just a way for explaining how you as a child are seen as a resource and not a human being. Um, you're an asset. You're not a person. And when people invest in assets, they want to return. And in the case of the black community, even when they don't invest in those assets, you best believe they still want to return. Um, and the reason I bring that up is because I wanted to talk about something that I've learned with my time on this planet and in my time of being in that in a similar position. And I just wanted to talk about about what it means to be seen as just golden in a sense. And by golden, I just mean valuable or precious. Um, and what can happen to you in a toxic ass family where you're seen in that light, but jealousy from the siblings becomes involved, and then pressure from the other relatives becomes involved, and all this other shit that happens that winds up throwing you off of your life course. And um and they do that shit happily. They do that shit with glee. Um, and I just want to talk about, yeah, I just want to dive into that a bit more. And on why it is that if you are a young person with a bunch of potential, if you're smart, if you're wise, if you're intelligent, if you are a old soul, if you're out here, you're making shit happen, you need to cut your family off and just run. I really mean it. Just cut them off and run, because they don't mean you. 9 times out of 10, they really don't. They just don't have your best interest at heart. First of all, let's just go down a list of things. First of all, when you are the one person out of all of your siblings, out of all of your, all of that shit, to be, emotionally regulated, to be smart, to just be different than your ghetto ass relatives or anything like that, you are going to be seen as obviously a threat. And you're going to be seen as a threat because much older people are going to see the potential in you, and they're going to see that, hey, you actually, like, you could be something. And they do something that's actually it's normal, but it's fucked up too. Because what happens is you begin looking like this ideal person that everyone just compares everyone else to. And even though you're not the one saying you're better, everyone else is saying you're better than, your siblings or whatever. And your siblings, what they do is they redirect that rage, that of their jealousy that they feel, and the rage that they feel towards their own insecurities and their own shortcomings, that despite having the same, damn near the same upbringing as you and the same opportunities as you, they just couldn't make shit happen the way you could. They will. yeah, they will just those feelings will just take over, and that jealousy that they feel, it becomes misdirected at you. And if you don't believe that the siblings that you grew up with, if you don't believe that the people that raised you, if you don't believe that their dumbasses wouldn't turn around and try to drag you down and destroy you so that you don't become nothing, nothing of yourself, they will definitely do that. This is just what immature and broken people do. Um, they don't ever want to handle their own shit. They always want it's just, this is just what happens. Um, and unfortunately, I, to be honest, when it comes to the movies and TVs and all that other good shit, unfortunately, they always make it seem like when you're the golden goose and when your family recognizes that shit, that they try to build you up, or that they try to support you, or that they try to, make you better or some shit like that. But in reality, that's not the case. In reality, you're dealing with humans who have human emotions, and jealousy and envy are some bitch of emotions, and they're just gonna, that shit is just gonna be a factor. And much like how, there's this one movie that I got to watch when I was younger, and funny enough, it was with a girl that hated me, because that's just honestly just been a recurring theme in my life, just people hating that they perceive me as perfect, and that other people perceive me as, ideal, or all these other things. But it was called Selena. And if you don't know about Selena, Selena was this singer. She had a very supportive family that supported her and her talents, um, which is lucky for her, because unfortunately, in a lot of families and a lot of households, you don't get that support. Instead, they try to tear you down. But yeah, so you have, this woman, she had a very supportive family and things like that. And she was talented with singing, and her father saw the talent and just saw the potential in her. And so what did he do? He just completely poured himself and poured whatever he could into her talents. He just wanted to develop her talents, to make her an amazing person as best as he could. And guess what? He succeeded at that. All that time, energy, money that he poured into that girl, it worked. And she became successful. But if you know how the movie ends, Selena gets shot and dead and dies. And do you want to know who shoots her? It's her assistant. It's this woman that was there assisting her at her shows, that they hired actually, and wardrobe and everything else. The assistant shot and killed Selena. And the reason the assistant did this is, you got, she has a whole host of other reasons, but at the end of the day, it has to deal with jealousy and envy. Selena wasn't sleeping with her man. Selena wasn't a terrible person. She wasn't mean or callous or anything like that. What it was just this woman was in the presence of someone that just had so much love poured into her, and she just felt just bitter and angry and jealous and envious, and that envy led her to wanting to murder. Now, in this example, things are a little bit different. What you have is somebody who's not a biological or not in the family, enacting their envy on someone who came from actually a very supportive family. But but I just wanted to use that just as an example of, just envy with someone that's, talented and things like that. But the same can be said in families as well, with the Jackson Five and stuff like that. Um, but um, but I really wanted to circle back to that point I was making on just how jealousy and envy, at your potential, at your beauty, at the love that other people have for you, how that can lead someone into doing some really fucked up shit, just because they want you to suffer. And just because they want you to die. They really do. Honestly, that jealousy and envy shit is it's love and hate. It's like they hate that they love you, and they hate that they can't. They actually could be you. Like, I mean, honestly, I really don't. But at the end of the day, these people have very limited mindsets. They're defined by limitations. There's certain people that are defined by limitations, and there's others that aren't. And the people that have defined themselves by limitations, they get really fucking pissed off at those of us who don't define ourselves by limitations. Like they hate the fuck out of us. But and and I say all that to say that if you think that someone if you think that your own biologicals and your own family wouldn't be driven to try and destroy their golden goose, just because they hate that other people love you, just because they hate that they had the same opportunities as you, but you did something better with them, just because they hate all of that, you would be mistaken. Um, and just to give a bit of a real life example from me, because this is what this channel is all about. I talk about gang stalking and harassment and narcissistic abuse and things like that, because these are things that I've had to deal with at the hands of my own family because of the fact that they couldn't stand they just hated me. They hated my favor. They hated my mind. They hated my old soul. They just hated all these things. Um, and how it drove them to basically try and destroy me they um because ultimately they just fucking because of jealousy and because of envy. um and they tried packaging it as love. They tried packaging it as, oh, we just really want to, it's the universe. They even tried packaging it as the universe, or as if they were God or some shit. They tried packaging it in all these different mediums and all these different forms. But at the end of the day, all it really was jealousy and envy at the fact that I was doing what they wished they would have done when they were younger. And um and it was just a projection of their own insecurities on me. And they felt the need to just do whatever they could to throw a wrench in my plans and to destroy my life. And um and to give me as many to pass along as many of their demons onto me as they much as they possibly could, because that's what it really comes down to. It's about them. They think that the best way to get rid of their demons is to pass them along instead of handling their shit. And so what I've had is a family that felt the need to pass along all their demons onto me, this blank canvas, as if I'm some sacrificial lamb, that once they destroy me and once they get rid of me, all of the demons that are eating up them are suddenly going to disappear. Um, and I just wanted to talk about that, because that's what, when you are the golden goose, when you are the lamb, when you're the goat, in your brood or in your family, what happens, a lot of the times is that you got to understand that in a toxic family, that is, because in a healthy family, your talents, your value would be nurtured. But in a toxic family, that shit doesn't. They don't want to nurture that shit. What they want to do is they want to destroy it. And so what they try to turn you into like a human sacrifice of sorts. And they will try to justify their malevolence, their jealousy, their envy, their ugliness, their demons. They would try to justify it through as many different means as they can. But at the end of the day, what it really comes down to is that you have someone that's jealous of your favor, jealous of your blessings, jealous of your gifts, um, and they just want to fuck you up as much as they possibly can, so that you lose whatever it was that made you as brilliant as you are. But you gotta understand, first of all, when you're the goat, when you're the golden goose, when you're that person, um it's not it's in you. Like, it's just going to be always be a part of you. So you don't have to worry too much, because they can't ever take away what's in you. Although they can, once again, like, I don't believe in underestimating. There was a time when I foolishly uh underestimated just what jealousy and envy and hatred could do to a people. But I've learned, and this is what this video is about, you can't ever underestimate that shit in people, because they will literally go through so many extra links that you can't even fathom, just so that they can try and destroy you. They will do the most extra shit that you, it's like, who the fuck has time for this shit? And I'll tell you who has time for this shit. People that have no lives, people that have already hit their peaks, people that have people that are miserable. These are the kinds of people that have time to do this shit. And you not being a miserable person, you having a life, you're not in a position to understand just how much pain they're in and what they're willing to do to assuage that pain, because you've never experienced it, and you're just not that type of person. It's kind of like being popular it's kind of like being pretty and kind. A lot of times people, when they see pretty people, they do assume good things about you, but there are those people that sit there and assume that, oh, you must have an attitude, oh, you must be this or that. And they'll, it's kind of like when a pretty girl walks into a room and then all of a sudden, you got people turning their noses up at them and wanting to knock them down a peg or some shit like that, because they just assume that they're going to be an asshole or that they're full of themselves and all this other shit. It's the same thing with being like, it's kind of the same thing. um and you're gonna have people that are interested in like people like that, they just don't understand the other side of things. And when you're someone who you're just blessed like that, you just have those gifts of discernment, and you've done the work of creating your own work ethic and shit like that. When you're just that person, people, they there's just, you live a different life and you live in a different reality. um and what happens is, when other people, especially those, and the reason why I really bring up the whole biological aspect of this is because, yes, it happens outside of the family, but you understand, it's even worse, and it probably happens more often within the families than people realize. And I say that because you gotta understand, when someone is living with you year after year and they're going through pretty much this, growing up the same way as you, but for some reason your life is just what they perceive as better. You are what they perceive as better. You are like, and objectively, to be honest, your life is better and you are better. um that that's gonna ruffle some fucking feathers. um and you, especially in a toxic family, very clear on that, it's a toxic family. These people are going to do everything in their power to try and destroy you, to try and to fuck up your blessings, to try and to lay you low, to try and they'll, like I said again, they'll wrap it up in as many ribbons as they can. And what I mean by ribbons is they'll say things like, oh, they're trying to help you. Like, for instance, let's say you want to get ready for a party or something like that, and you know damn well that one hairstyle looks better on you. Like, you want long hair, and they're trying to give you a pixie cut or some shit like that. um and knowing damn well it doesn't look good on your proportions or on you, but they're telling you to go for that shit. It's because they or or instances where you don't really something doesn't look flattering on you, and another thing looks really flattering on you, but they'll sit there and try to tell you, oh no, go for the thing that's unflattering, because girl, what are you talking about? That's going to be so much better for you. Like, just that hatred, that being a hater, like they're going to sit there and try to sabotage you and feed you poison, all while calling it medicine. They're steady sabotaging you, all while saying that they're trying to help you. They're trying to set you up for failure, all while saying that they're setting you up for success. And what it has to do, once again, it has nothing to do with you and everything to do with them and their own insecurities, and them projecting their insecurities onto you. um this is just what happens when you're different from your ghetto ass biologicals, or from your humble beginnings, or whatever it is. And honestly, because I was that person that took on, I personally tried to take on that. It wasn't, some of it was personal, but some of it wasn't. Because, to be honest, when I was younger, I had families trying to tell me things like, look, you have an opportunity to do this and do that. You need to, good, honestly, I'm thankful that they did do that, because they were telling me, like, you have the opportunity to live a life that's different and better, and you need to keep that up. You need to be the one to keep being different. That's what they were trying to tell me. Keep keep going, keep just don't look back, run and don't look back. But what I did was I interpreted that as, okay, well, if I am doing well and if I am being different, then I need to, you got to go back and you got to build up. You got to go back and you got to give back to the people that help you and all this other stuff. Because I have a very communal mindset. I'm very communally minded. I don't believe in this whole idea of being self-made. No, I'm the product of everyone that ever believed in me. I'm very even people that dropped the ball, like my mom, maybe she wasn't there for this and that, but she gave me, this, that, and the third, and oh, maybe this person wasn't there for that, but they provided me with this. I'm very it's just at the end of the day, I don't bullshit myself the amount of um on the amount of help and assistance that I receive, that I know I received. Yes, at the end of the day, I'm the one who did something with those opportunities. Um, but still, at the end of the day, those opportunities were presented to me because of such and such people. So I don't bullshit myself on that. And my way of showing my appreciation to people that I view as having aided or assisted in my successes or in my growth and things like that is to whatever the spoils of my victories are, we're going to share in this. I grew up in a very big family, and so I'm used to sharing literally everything I have. Literally everything I own was probably owned by someone else until I was 14 and I went to live as the only girl with my aunt. But that was 14 years. I went sharing literally pretty much everything I have, and getting things passed down to me, or having to wait my turn or actually never, honestly never getting turns because that older sibling, my senior sibling, gets to play sports, but I don't get to have after school activities because oldest gets to have the after school activities. That's as I've always been and this is funny because it's like, despite the fact that I've always been put last, it's real funny how life works out. They like to say the last will be first. I'm always the last. I was the last born. I'm the last to, even when I was the last born, I shared that position with my twin and my grandmother. She made it very clear that I was beneath him, and that she cared about him more than she cared about me, and that his wants, needs, and well-being came before my own. Like that's just been kind of like the story of my life, constantly being put last, constantly being put on hold, and constantly being told that this is not for me. I don't get that because I'm just not the one that's for. That's just the story of my life. Um but once the story starts to change, and once this script starts to flip, people begin to kind of lose their shit. They start to Once you start saying no, I refuse to be the mule, or no, I refuse to be like, you're not going to treat me like that. You're not going to put me last constantly at the expense of my well-being, so that your child or the child that you favor could have this, that, and the third. Once you start doing that shit, you start speaking up and standing up for yourself, people will lose their shit. And here's another thing that I really want to make clear. When you're the golden goose, your value lies in your ability to be used and exploited. And your family will try to use and exploit you. And if they can't if they can't use and exploit you, you become the enemy. And what do they do to the enemies? They're going to try to destroy you and abuse you. And this is what's going to happen and has happened and will happen to a lot of you different um, kids that are in these families. For me, it started at a very young age. I was literally just a fucking kid. And by kid, I mean 20 years old. But after living as long as I have, 20 years old is a fucking kid. Um, so yeah, honestly, it even happened before then. Like I said, like back before I could even go to grade school, before I even started pre-K. I had my grandmother trying to tear me down as much as she could. Um, but at the end of the day, I just wanted to make it very clear that when you are different, you will not be you're just not going to be and you come from a toxic family, you being different, you having your head on your shoulders more, you being more ambitious, you being like, none of these things are going to be favorable to you. And your biologicals, they will do everything in their power to try and lay you low and destroy you, because their insecurities, like, they just don't have a handle over them. And they're going to try to pass off their demons as much as they can onto you. So, for instance, if you were a calm, cool, collected individual, and your sibling is just chock full of trauma and all this other bullshit, and they can't seem to make any right decisions or whatever, they will try to turn you into them. So at one point, you had a peaceful spirit and all this other shit. Despite having nearly the same upbringing, despite all the other bullshit that you had to deal with, um, you still got people that are trying to, um, despite all that other shit, you still found a way, you still did your own thing. Um, but at the end of the day, understand that these people don't give a fuck. They don't give a fuck. They do not care, and their interest lies in, like, once again, they think that the solution to their issues is to pass off their problems, to pass off their demons, and they will certainly, I mean, most certainly try to do that shit. To you if you are the golden goose, because honestly, when you're the golden goose, when you're just honestly, I was that wise old soul child, that kid that, well, you're mature for your age, or you're this and that, I was that kid. Adults always looked at me as, I was always the example. I was always the, this kid is going somewhere. I was always the, oh yeah, when this one, you need to watch this one, because this one needs to be, protect that child, like, um but at the end of the day, once again, people just don't, they just couldn't understand that while I appreciate the support and things like that, they just couldn't understand that, you know, them supporting me was going to have these type of results. And everyone from friends to now I'm seeing even family members, they hate your favor so much to the point where they will try to destroy you. And they will try to do it in, like I said, a very covert manner. Because if they come yelling out, oh, she's dead, they know that they're going to look like a hater. They know they're going to look like a disturbed person. And so, what they try to do, is they try to do this in a more, for some of you that are lucky, your toxic ass, dysfunctional ass family, like, you're gonna see that shit from a mile away, because they're gonna make it very apparent. Um, but for those of you who come, well, when the hate is coming from a different, um, when the hate is coming from your family, but a little bit like kind of like extended family, it's gonna be different. And I want to talk today also about having to deal with extended family that hates your fucking guts because you're different. Um, and today I'd like to talk about my extended family and how this whole thing started. So basically, I um I had nasty ass family, just ghetto ass, usual family. And these actually the ghetto ass family was being manipulated and used by my other extended family, that were more well off. And these other extended biologicals, she had a daughter, and her daughter was, pretty much a trash human being, to be honest. Um, and her and I didn't mesh too well. Um, but I guess after that whole incident, maybe she felt like, I don't even know. It's like, they felt the need to kind of, like, they wanted to help me, but at the end of the day, they wanted to do so, only if they wanted to kind of turn me into someone that, um, honestly, I wouldn't even say it was help. No, they didn't want to help me. What they wanted to do was that they just had this obsession with me, because they realized that they didn't like me, but they couldn't pinpoint exactly why they didn't like me, or why they felt all of these twisted up emotions about me. Um, and just like how a man becomes obsessed with a woman that he can't run game on, your family becomes obsessed. It's honestly like being in a toxic fucking relationship, with a nigga. Your family becomes obsessed with the fact that they can't run game on you. Um, and so what I have are my relatives acting like toxic ass men, because they're trying to because what they're trying to do is they're just obsessed with you, and they have all these complicated ass feelings about you, and they can't stand you. But the reason they can't stand you is because they love you. Like, it's kind of like there's one episode of Girlfriends where she's arguing with this guy who's like Joan. She's arguing with this guy who's using a treadmill, and she's finding ways to just pick all these fights with him because ostensibly it's because of the treadmill, but in reality it's because she wants that man. She's interested in him. And maybe somewhere in her mind she's talked herself out of it, like, oh no, because he was an actor. And she's like, oh, he's famous, he's not going to like me anyway, so let me reject him before he rejects me. And despite the fact that that's about, male and female fucking relationship, at the end of the day it's kind of the same thing in your own family and in other relationships as well. Sometimes people hate you so much because they love you, because they and that's the reason why they can convince themselves that all of the sick shit that they're doing is because out of love, because in reality they do love you. They do, they really do love you, but they love you in a toxic way, a way of, fuck, I wish I could be you, I hate you. Like, it's that I love you, I hate you type of shit. It's that it's that it's that because I love you I must destroy you, because I love you to the point where I want to be you. It's kind of like that. These people want to fucking be you, they want to be you. um and once again, this kind of goes back to being just that golden goose kind of kid, like me. Like, at a very early age, I just kind of, I kind of had my mind made up on some shit that I didn't realize it then, but now that I'm older I see that I was so fucking on point. Like, my desires, my dreams, everything that I had planned for my life, like, I was really on fucking point with this shit. And if I grew up with, in a supportive environment and with actual supportive family and things like that, I probably would be in a much different position right now. But no, instead I'm here, trying to warn and inform other people that are like me about these toxic ass family structures, because unfortunately, I don't have that support. you know, my family didn't love me in a way that made them want to support me more. My family loved me in a way that made them want to destroy me, because they hated that they couldn't be me, or that they couldn't, make the same choices for their life or some shit like that. Um, and this is real life. This is the shit of life that they don't really prepare you for, because your family is constantly telling you shit like, the danger is coming from outside of your family. Oh, you can't trust your friends and all this other shit. But at the end of the day, I don't have not a stab in my back from friends. The bloodiest wounds and the sharpest, the deepest cuts that I have all come from people that I call sister, brother, mother. It all comes from these people. And I'm just trying to, position myself to in a place right now where I can just, um, spread the message as best as I can, because at the end of the day, this desire to tear me down started when I was so young, and it just kept carrying out, that it's like, honestly, I didn't stand a chance. I really didn't stand a chance. But for those of you who can stand a chance, for those of you, maybe you're 15, 16, 17 years old, and you're recognizing the dysfunction in your family, and maybe you had an opportunity to get away, and maybe you're feeling like you want to go back to help them, or you want to try and fill their heads up with as much you want to try to fill them with as much life as you possibly can. You want to make money and send as much money back home as you can. Don't do that shit. Don't. It's all a waste of fucking time. Don't do that shit. Your family had the same life that you had. They had the same access to opportunities and chances. Your siblings, more than likely, had the same shit that you had, but they decided that they didn't want it, or they were going to value something else. And now they have to live with the consequences of their choices in their lives. Don't ever feel like you have to like you need to help them or some shit. Like, don't buy into the black tax. Don't Because honestly, the black tax is a thing, but it only really exists because of the fact that we allow people to pressure us into taking on these extra costs. But I'm here to tell you, don't allow them assholes to pressure you into um into any of that shit, because at the end of the day, um the people that you're trying to help, they don't want help. They don't want help from you. They don't value anything that you're doing for them. They didn't ask for you. They didn't ask. Did they ask you? And even if they did ask you, why are they asking you that question? Like, why are they no, 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 no. If you have the opportunity to get away from your toxic family, run, don't walk, and don't look back. Run, don't walk, don't look back, don't do any of that shit, because at the end of the day, you're at the end of the day, th- they you can't save them. They don't want to be saved. Um, Anything that you try to do, they're gonna try to flip it in a way of, you think you better than me, you think you this, you think you that, oh you this, you that. At the end of the day, like I said, and it's funny because it doesn't really matter what they do. At the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you do, because at the end of the day, these people, they don't. Especially if you're the youngest. If you're the youngest, don't do this shit to yourself. And the reason why I say this is because, despite the fact that everyone always reaches an age where the birth order doesn't really matter, at the end of the day, your siblings are still going to view you as younger than them. And the idea of someone younger than them doing better than them, they can't stand that shit. And so they're going to try to work with as many people as they can to destroy you. So that you don't ever do better than them, so that you're constantly going to them for shit, and so that you're constantly having to feed out of the palm of their hands, because they're sick as fuck, and they don't actually care about you. They don't actually want to support you. They don't actually any of that shit. It's all, once again, it's all a facade. At the end of the day, it all goes back to that jealousy. Like the auntie that I'm referring to, not the one that I live with, but the one that lured me onto a trip to South America with her daughter. Um, at that time, this woman, she more than likely probably because before she did this, I had taken myself on my own little trip out of the country, and I did it all by myself. I worked hard, I saved up my money, and I took myself out the country, and I did that shit. And I posted that shit to Facebook, and she probably saw that shit and was like, "Wow, she's doing something with herself. I want her to associate with my child." And so, she lured me out there thinking that I don't know, I guess thinking that me and her daughter were going to click. And honestly, I thought me and her daughter were going to click too. But unfortunately, once again, it's the same thing that happens with, it's just when people recognize that you are of superior quality, um, or that you are when you just have qualities that other people lack, let's really put it like that. When you have qualities that other people lack and that they desire, um, even if they have their own benefits or their own good qualities, at the end of the day, they desire your qualities. And for you to have what they desire, that makes you an enemy. And I became an enemy to this woman because despite not having any of the shit that she had given to her daughter, I was better than her daughter. I was more ambitious, I was smart, I was cultivated, I was cultured, I was pretty much like her daughter, but 2.0, despite not having any of the advantages that her daughter had. Um, and her and I, we didn't necessarily see eye to eye. We bumped heads. I even bumped head with her mother because her mother tried once again. She couldn't humble me in other ways, so she tried to humble me in the way of, look, Missy, I'm the one paying for this trip, so you need to, fall in line or some other shit like that. But because she was doing some really nasty ass shit, and I don't take anyone's shit. Like, I don't care who you are. You're not about to. I've just never been that person to where threats of falling in to get me to fall in line ever really work. That shit doesn't work with me. It never has, and it never will, because I'm just not a dumb bratty kid that you can just tell to fall in line like that, because I've never been a dumb kid to begin with. Once again, all my life I've been called the old soul. All my life I've been called mature for my age, up until recently. But that's just because sometimes you gotta act stupid just to. Um, that's because of the fact that once again these grown ass adults, like, they really like to adultify children. They really like to, especially if you are a black woman, that adultification of young black girls. Like, people can't stand that shit. Or people just constantly lean into that shit. Um, at the end of the day, once again, when you're a hey, mm-hmm.
This is for you, she told me.
Yeah.
I think that one feel cool. Run me like a heater. Can I borrow some of it?
Yeah, ma.
All right, I'm just gonna take a little bit of this, a little bit of this,
Yeah, go ahead, ma.
and she's about to take me home a little bit.
Okay.
I'm gonna go home. Hopefully, the lights stay on tomorrow. And because I gotta get the water bill paid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what text you sent her last night. I kind of set off a little frenzy. Talking about, I don't know. I don't want to go all into it.
Yeah.
I just want you to do me a favor. We'll discuss things later. Could you be, could y'all just get along for a couple of days?
Ma, I can be cordial until I can do that, ma.
She thought she's going back out tonight. I told her, first of all, I need time to get the house together. That house is unlivable. I don't know what we took home in it. Since the lights been out. We ain't been in that house. We've been here, but same with friends. I come in and check it and I leave back out.
Mm-hmm.
But if the lights come on tomorrow and you and her can't get along, at least the house will be presentable enough for you if you want to come stay there.
Yeah.
So I just need you just to give me a little time, maybe a week.
Okay.
Just 1 week to get things together. She about to bring me home in a little bit.
But yeah, if you can get the lights on and stuff like that, fine.
Yeah, because I might have to put them without. I'm gonna see, because you might need that room.
Yeah.
And he need to go. Him and that dog need to go. I need you to take care of business like that.
Yeah.
And I don't want to just come on and say, get out.
Yeah.
It's not that bad. But just, and if she, bitch, I'll just say, mom says she will, because when she do bring you, I want my TV.
Okay.
Yeah, cat TV is coming back. I don't need you to put in the washroom. You might have to sleep on the floor. You can throw something else.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, my TV on the floor.
You got this one right here. Like,
thank you. Why my TV on the floor and that out there? But anyway.
but yeah, ma, if you can get him out and get the light on. Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and I'm going to tell her before we leave, because she's just about ready to leave. She said something about going back out tonight. I don't know.
Okay.
Do me that favor. Let me prepare, place. And y'all might kiss and make up. Who knows? But if not, at least you got an option.
Yeah, please do that, because honestly, I don't see that happening. Us kissing and making up, but I can be cordial. Like, I'm not gonna start no shit. I'm just gonna keep to myself and do my own thing. Yeah.
You do your best to do that, and I'm working on the other end.
Yeah.
And we're gonna get about that. I'll let you know when the house is ready.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
But like I was saying, at the end of the day, your toxic family is toxic for a reason. You know, oftentimes we like to try to see the best in the people that we love because we love them. But at the end of the day, your shitty ass relatives are shitty as fuck because they are. They don't have money because they don't. They don't have resources because they don't. They don't. They're baby mamas and have all these baby kids because of the choices that they made in their life. And if you allow your toxic ass family to if you don't see the danger that is your toxic ass family, they will bleed into your life, trying controlling your access to resources, your access. They will try to control every aspect of your life, and they want to do that so that they can destroy you and stop you from ever getting into and stop you from ever getting to a position to where you can fulfill your fullest potential. And if you do fulfill your potential, they want you to do it on their time, on their watch, and on their cue. They are not interested. And I mean, they are not interested at all. Do not believe them when they say they're doing this out of love. Don't believe any of that shit about wanting to help you. Don't believe any of that bullshit. Because let me tell you, your toxic ass, ghetto ass, ain't shit ass family are the way they are because that's who they are. And there's nothing your young ass can do to save them. Save your fucking self and don't become their sacrifice. Don't become their sacrificial lamb. Don't become their sacrificial goat. And don't become their sacrificial goose. Get the fuck out of there.